Hey, so did you guys know that you can actually get the best block in the game within seconds of loading into a world? Here, let me show you. Yeah, let's go. It's just gonna load in and bad spawn. It's okay, it happens. Yeah, let's load in. Create the world, you know, real quick. It sucks. So yeah, today I just wanted to talk about my personal favorite block in the game and the block that I'm gonna campaign for right now to be the best block in the game, which are leaf litter and, well, also pink petals and wildflowers, but like, you know, we can they're basically the same thing, right? Now look, I don't actually blame people for not liking leaf litter. It looks bad on maps, clogs up your inventory for not all that much value. So why do I like this block so much? Well, I'm actually mostly a builder, and this block has so much unexplored potential that I barely ever see anyone talking about. So today, I want to do exactly that. I have recently been absolutely obsessed with leaf litter. I think it is one of the coolest blocks in the game, and it all started on EchoCraft. Let's jump over there and talk through what I saw. So a few weeks ago, I was over here at Pokey's base, and he was showing off these, which from here doesn't look all that exciting or anything, but if we go into free cam and fly up, we have these gorgeous spirals all over the place, and I think that these are just really cool because they're like quarter blocks, which is just really cool, and this kind of got me obsessed. And this leads me into the subject of this video, which is building tips using leaf litter. So let's start with a campfire design, because traditionally, in my opinion, the way to build a campfire is something a bit like this. We'd have a little bit of coarse dirt surrounding the campfire to make it look like it's kind of like a fire pit, but for the most part, it's just a regular campfire. So that brings me into the leaf litter. For the longest time, I had noticed that blocks like smooth basalt and blackstone really do look like ashes. So if you place one underneath, it kind of matches with the actual ashes of the campfire texture. But the problem with this is that this is really jarring, so you'd have to smooth it out. So what I would do is use something like mud around it. It kind of matches and kind of transitions over to dirt. But the issue is, as we add more to this, it starts to look a lot more blocky, and it's a lot more clear why we just use the coarse dirt method, which is where leaf litter comes in. Leaf litter actually does an amazing job of masking this. If we just start placing it around a bit like this, suddenly this doesn't look so blocky anymore. Obviously there is a bit of blockiness to this, but it smooths it out and kind of just looks like ashes scattered around, which kind of does a perfect job of making this look more like a campfire. Kind of awesome. This is just a really cool, subtle detail you can do with this. Let me just load into the world real quick. Brand new world. What is this? What? Next up, let's build a nice path. So let's say I have these two little houses that I want to connect up with a path. Well, let me tell you, leaf litter is my best friend in this scenario. Let's put up a little bit of path. So here we are, we have a little bit of a path. Now, first of all, let's do a little bit of build advice for how to make your path look a little better before we get into the leaf litter itself. So let's do a mini build lesson. So a couple things that I do to make these paths look better immediately is I'll grab some stone buttons and some spruce pressure plates and then just scatter them about. So you can use these as little pebbles and just putting one every so often. And then same thing with the spruce pressure plates, but a little less frequent, like that. And instantly, this is just a little more detail. Next up is foliage. So for this, what I usually do is grab spruce fences and oak leaves as my main thing. And then I'll grab the usual foliage suspects, bushes, ferns, short grass, but a few extras like bamboo and oak sapling. So to use these spruce fences, we just do something like this. So this makes like a little bit of a bush. Next up, the easy foliage. So we're just gonna put these every so often. Beautiful. And then finally, the more weird ones. So we'll put down like a piece of bamboo, bone meal it, and then put a string on top so it can't grow any taller. So we have this tiny little thing. And then these saplings, which act very similarly to bushes, but not quite the same. All you have to do is make sure there's a block above, which is what this string is for. And this is a pretty nice looking path. But we can make it better with leaf litter. Finally, the subject of the video, right? So if you grab the leaf litter, you can just use it to shape the path a little better. We can use these kind of as quarter blocks along grass, and we can do it on top of the regular path to break up the consistent shape of everything, because you can still very clearly see the grid. And that can pretty easily be broken up with leaf litter, because again, it's like a quarter block, which is kind of amazing. And there we go. We made this beautiful little path, and it blends in with the terrain just a little better. All thanks to leaf litter. Isn't it amazing? I love leaf litter so much. So let's just load into the game. Wow, this is a weird seat. Whoa. Hang on. Whoa. This is cool. So we got spruce, birch, jungle, mangrove, all like right on top of spawn. I spawned like here. It's like a plus of like cool biomes. This is a cool seed. Anyway, enjoy if you want that. It seems cool to me. Anyway, not the point, but leaf litter doesn't just have to be outside, by the way. So next up, we're still here in this little tiny area, which I think is kind of cute. So if we enter this little house, we get to a little area, but honestly, the floor here is a little cold, which we could easily fix with a carpet. Let's make it a little warmer. So we're gonna use brown carpet like this, and now suddenly we have a little rug. But honestly, this rug kinda boring and doesn't really look like a rug. But guess what? The leaf litter is here to help us, because boom. I don't know what these are called. What are these called? So now when we get home, we have this little rug with these little fringes on it. And I think this just brings the space together kind of amazingly. Isn't this kind of cool? Isn't leaf litter just kind of the best? Let me just load in. Oh, why do I keep getting swamp spawns? What is this? Let's rapid fire some more tips. So next up, this is more of a piece of trivia than a building tip, although it definitely can be used as a building tip if you didn't know it already. If you happen to be in a pale garden, did you know that the leaf litter turns gray? That means that any of the tips that I've shown in a pale garden either don't apply or apply differently. So you can still do a fringed carpet, it just needs to be gray, which is kind of cool. And you can still do a path, but it can't be dirt, it has to be gray. But again, that kind of fits the theme of the pale garden, so maybe that'll work out for you. I don't know. So finally, let's return to the original thing that sparked this video, and that is the wonderful little spirals that I was showing at the very beginning, which you can do with leaf litter, with pink petals, and with wildflower. It's very helpful to understand how to place these blocks to be able to do these, because these are really cool, but you have to kind of understand how to place these blocks. And since I've been building with these so frequently, I kind of gotten pretty good at placing these properly. So let's talk about how to place them really quickly. So when you go to a block and you want to place them, it depends on the way you're facing. So if you're facing this way, the first one you place will always be in the lower corner like this. Boom. The second one you place will always go up here. Third one will go here, and the last one will fill in like that. And that repeats in all orientation. And this is true for wildflowers, and this is true for pink petals. So now that you know that, we can start making some spirals. Basically, the idea here is that we're just kind of trying to make a little circular shape thingy, kind of. And yeah, you can see how you can make these cute little spirals all over the place. And the piece of advice that I have to give in particular with these is that at any point where you have a large field of flowers, which is a very easy way to make your world a little more full, I recommend throwing in these spirals and then grabbing a similarly colored flower. So for the pink petals, I like to use pink tulips and putting them in between the spirals like this. And this makes it a wild feel that, if you fly up above, has a design to it. And I think that's really cool. And for this, the same thing goes with, for the pink tulips, I would use the dandelions. And again, kind of a wild area, and you fly up, and it's a little spiral. Beautiful. And finally, let's talk about letters. So all you have to do is just kind of vaguely understand the shapes that you're building. So you can make a square pretty easily, but the way I prefer to do letters with leaf litter and with these flowers is to make them look a little more rough and natural. So this is a very clear O. You can see the O very easily, but it's not quite as whimsical as I think it should be, because again, this is supposed to be a natural look. This isn't really supposed to be super strict. So my go-to way of making this look more natural and less strict is by trying to make it on an angle. So let's give an example by writing out my name with all three of these. So we're gonna start with the little circle of the G, which I actually don't mind making it exactly like this because it'll be easier. And we'll do something like that to start like bringing out the G bit. And then there we go. We built a G kind of on an angle. Yeah, and you can see that G, right? Next, let's do the E. Same philosophy. We really don't want this to look strict and intentional. Right now, all I'm doing is kind of shuffling it around to make it look a little better in a different place. There's a little bit of an E. And finally, let's make the M. And there's a little M. Beautiful. You can kind of see the idea here. So let me just load into a brand new world real quick. And boom, I've got the best block in the game. Amazing. This is so cool. Also, what is this? Hello? So yeah, I do hope you've enjoyed, and yeah, this was definitely an experimental video for me, but I really just wanted to talk about leaf litter and its cousins because it's such a cool block, and I feel like it's incredibly underappreciated, especially for how easy it is to get and how cool its applications can be. So yeah, hopefully you learned something, and hopefully you can apply one of these little techniques, even though they're quite small, into one of your next builds. This is my bread and butter, and I adore these tiny little details, so expect to see more of this from me. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!